no money, that's an asshole. It wasn't a phase.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Senior Citizen Podcast, and we are here with Desi and Scott from A Moment of Violence. Moment of Silence. Can we have a moment of silence for that? No, Moment of Violence. How are you guys doing today?
Doing excellent. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
I'm really happy you guys came out. Port St. Lucie is a long drive away. I don't go up there even for fun. But tell me a little bit about how the band got started.
Sure. So a little bit of the backstory is Scott and I used to play on a softball team, like a men's adult softball team, and we'd played together for, 4 or 5 months or something like that. And at that point, neither of us knew that we were musicians, respectively. But kind of a funny story. We were in the parking lot after the game, just hanging out with the guys. You know, everyone was having a few beers or whatever, and somebody had like maybe a Taylor Swift song on or something like that, and I happened to say, I was like, hey, man, let's play some real music, man. You know, let's put on some heavy stuff. And our other friend, Brian, was like, well, what do you want to hear? You want to hear all that rah, heavy metal stuff? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, I said, I'm a guitar player. And he said, oh, no kidding. I'm a drummer, So we had some aspirations to really get together and, like, put a band together for a while. But, I mean, it took a few months, right? I mean, how long did it take until we kind of got together?
I mean, it was about probably 4 or 5 months until we got, like, Brent, our other guitar player, in, and we had another bass player who didn't work out, and over time it took us about a good year to really get the full band lineup together. But yeah, ever since it's been great.
Yeah, so that's really how it kind of originated, with just him and I, and then, like you said, we had one guy playing bass. He didn't really work out for us. Then we were on a hunt for a guitar player for the longest time. Turns out my neighbor's a guitar player, so that's it. Kind of just built from there, and we've been rocking it ever since.
Yeah, because he told me previously, Brent, this was for you. You're not here,
there
but anyways, I love it. We jumped from softball to heavy metal band.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are the kinds of things, I think it was just meant to be at that point.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
You guys are working hard. I see you guys put out singles very often.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the work dynamic like? Like, how are you guys managing? I'm assuming that we have, like, day jobs, too, and then
for sure
the band.
So I mean, we're really blessed to have, the jobs and the family members to really back us up and allow us the time to be able to do what we got to do. But it's a full-time job for sure, 100%. It really starts with, basically, I'll have an idea, and I'll lay it down with kind of like MIDI drums and stuff like that, and I'll play the guitar riffs and stuff, and I'll show it to the band, and they'll say, this is cool, maybe we tweak this, maybe we do this, maybe we do that, and then it just comes together as a song. Once it's a full song, we'll it's kind of backwards a little bit, because we're writing music first before the words, but then we'll put words to it, and then we'll go back into my studio and we'll just re-record the whole thing and really, make it shine and make it a masterpiece, so to speak, overall.
Yeah, basically he'll write the songs and then he'll send them to me, and then I'll listen to it over and over and over again at work and learn the song, and then come back to practice prepared, and we get it done.
That's it.
It feels very business-like, and compared to the last interview I just had, where it's just kind of like, okay, things may or may not fall into place, but it's funny to see everybody's work dynamics to be a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what it is we are a little older as far as a new band goes, but at the end of the day, everyone kind of understands that, like, what their respective role is, and what we've got to do, and like you said, it is business-like. Once we get into that studio, or we get into the band room or whatever where we're practicing, it's go time. But we're fortunate to be able to find the guys that we were able to find and really just come together as a unit. It's not very often that you can have that kind of immediate chemistry right away, and it really worked out. And I think it's really attributed to the fact that everybody's veteran musicians in their own respect, and coming together as one, we understand what we really need to do as a business to make this fly and make it work.
And failing with old bands, too.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Learning from experience and just putting it together and making a cool masterpiece with everybody's ideas on it. So
right, and I actually want to delve a little bit more into that experience and what it was like growing up for you, what your relationship was with music. And we'll go one by one, because I'm sure both your stories are very much different.
Yeah, for sure. So you go first, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, Both of my parents, they're pretty young. They grew up in the 80s with like Metallica, Slayer, Judas Priest, all that stuff. And I've always loved it, even since I was a kid, listening to Ozzy. You know, like I said, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden was my first show when I was 11 years old.
How was that? What do you remember from it?
I remember that Motorhead played, so I got to see Lemmy before he passed. Who else played that show? Oh, it was Ronnie James Dio as well.
Okay.
Was the middle act, and then Iron Maiden. I actually left because it was too loud before the set was even over, but, you know, it was great. But, yeah, my dad also played drums for, like, a bunch of cover bands and stuff like that. And he got one of his old kits and gave that to me when I was around 10. Then when I was 11, he bought me my first Tama drum kit. And I started practicing from there, kept going. By the time I was 16, I was playing in a band, then joined another band. And, you know, I had a good time in high school. Like, you talk about the scene. We had a great music scene in my town that we built ourselves. And
What town was that? So it's not Florida?
No, I'm actually from New York.
Okay.
Carmel, New York.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, we would book our own shows at like VFWs, get the whole town involved, and it was very successful and a lot of fun. And ever since I moved out here, you know, I've been wanting to play in a band again, and I'm lucky enough to have met Desi.
Awesome. Yeah, okay. Very cool.
Cool. Yeah. So for me, I come from a family of musicians. My twin sisters are singers. My dad's a bass player and a drummer. He had me playing drums initially when I was really young, 4 years old maybe. And I played it for a couple of years. I never got like exponentially good at it. But around early junior high school, I saw a friend of mine playing the guitar, and I said, ooh, that's something I really want to do. So I picked up a guitar, and at that time, I'm going to probably show my age a little bit, but at that time, tablature sheet music was very big. So like nowadays, you can just Google a song, a name, and hey, I want the notes by numbers, you know, and it'll send it to you or whatever. You pull up a website with it. But back then, you used to have to go out and buy the books for it. All right, and one of the publishers of the books was Hal Leonard. So Hal Leonard's stuff was really accurate as far as to the tape. So I was big on Megadeth back in the day. It was either you were a Megadeth fan or you were a Metallica fan. I was on the Megadeth side of things just because I loved the way those guys play the guitar. So I would pick up all the books and I would just learn them cover to cover. And then before you know it, I got really good at self-teaching myself how to play guitar and stuff like that. Again, similar to Scotty, I'm from Long Island, New York.
Okay.
And I played in the scene out there with a band called Element for, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years. We got pretty big. We did some big stuff. We got a record contract offered to us through No Name Management and Sony Records, which was the label, or the management company, rather, that picked up Slipknot initially. And then our hearts got broken at like 21. They just kind of dropped us out of nowhere with no reason, no explanation. But hey, that's the way it goes, you know, sometimes. But you know, so I got a lot of experience doing that, you know, going on small, you know, East Coast tours and stuff like that, and getting the experience of playing out and playing live and stuff like that. So for me, it's just always really been like a passion of mine to write music and write songs and stuff like that. And I've got that creative brain where I'm pretty good at it, you know. So if we kind of fast forward a little bit back to maybe 10, 15 years ago, I got into the production side of things and really started like working on recording music and making it sound really cool and really getting everything to sit in a box well together and stuff like that. So, you know, and I won't lie, the songs were probably like subpar at first, you know, but you know,
we're our own harshest critics.
Yeah, but you know, you do one, you do another one, and it gets better, and the next one's even better than that, and before you know it, here we are today with A Moment of Violence putting out, you know, some pretty killer tunes, you know, one after another. So that's really my story.
For sure. As an adult now, do you admit that you can just listen to Megadeth and Metallica?
I've kind of gotten away from both of those bands, to be honest with you. You know, we were actually talking about this on the way over here. It's like I kind of only listen to my stuff and like the local stuff just to critique it and really just, you know, finalize it and make it as good as you possibly can make it.
Right.
But, you know, obviously you got to stay up on the new and current tunes just so that you can stay current and really understand what's going on out there right now.
So you're listening to other bands in the local scene?
Yeah, for sure.
Who's like your top three?
Top three that I love? I mean, there's a band out of Orlando that I got a pretty good relationship with the drummer called Filth. They're really cool.
Okay.
there's a band I think from down here called Gears that's really pretty wild, to be honest with you. But as far as the bands that we played with, like you interviewed them recently, Exigent, we love those guys. Luxrum's pretty cool too. So we always have a good time when we play with those two.
I was like secretly looking for recommendations over here.
Yeah. I mean, Luxrum and Exigent. I'm sure you probably had both of them already, but I mean, we're just still kind of new and getting out there, to be honest with you. I mean, we've probably played a total of like maybe 15, 20 shows in our existence so far. So, but what I dislike most is like when we jump on the roster of something that's completely a different genre or something like that, because we've had had it where we've played with all punk rock bands, which I love punk rock, don't get me wrong, but it's just like that crowd is just a different scene.
And they don't respond the same.
They don't respond
band.
the same to a Moment of Violence as like when we play with bands that are similar to us, like Exigent and Luxrum, we get a huge response, which is a lot more positive. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny because genres are such a big thing in general for even someone like me that I listen to all kinds of music. Like I don't stop at rock or the subgenres of rock. I listen to a lot of music in Spanish, the subgenres in Spanish. And I never really thought of that because in my mind, like the perfect, lineup is probably very different from somebody else's.
Oh, for sure.
Like I could just chill to anything. Scott, I wanted to go back to when you started playing drums. Were you kind of like a natural at it, or was it like
yeah, that's kind of how it went. Like I never took formal lessons, but like I kind of just got like the basics from my dad. He wasn't that great, but he was good enough to play in some cover bands, and I kind of just practiced all the time when I was younger. And then I started doing stuff that my dad couldn't do. I was like, okay, maybe I'm pretty good at this. And I listened to a lot of Lamb of God, Black Sabbath, and those are my two favorite bands, and it just got me to where I wanted to be.
Cool stuff. And music came easy to you too, Desi.
Music is my middle name for sure. 100%. So just once I got into the guitar, it was just like no holds barred. Once I decided and focused, set my sights on doing that, that was it. I just wanted to learn everything I could possibly do. I mean, I'm blessed with, in my family, it's maybe something I inherited from my dad, but I've got an amazing ear. So I can like hear something on the radio and pick the part off the radio and already know what that guitar player's doing before I even attempt to learn it. One very important thing that my father told me is that there's only 12 notes in the entire musical scale. So it's got to be one of them, right? So you can figure it out. It's one of the 12. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's pretty much it. So the guitar came naturally for me. I'm not going to say that I didn't have to practice. I mean, there was points in my life where I was playing 5-6 hours a day at some point.
Right.
Maybe not so much now. I spend a lot of time behind the recording booth and stuff like that. But practice makes perfect. I guess the name of the game is he who holds the axe the longest wins. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. So
yeah, you have to tear it out of my cold dead hands.
So
no, it's cool. And you write the lyrics for A Moment of Violence, or
yes. I also, Alex is our vocalist. He contributes a lot to it.
Right.
But him and I, so really the way the structure is right now is like we practice on Tuesday nights, right? So everybody comes to my house 7 o'clock on Tuesday night, and we get together. But Alex typically will come over, like, let's say 3 or 4, and we'll spend the first 4 hours working on our next recording or whatever.
Okay.
So it's really time management or whatever. But him and I will sit down, we'll listen to the track, and we'll say, hey, what do you feel about this? And I'll present an idea to him, and he'll go, yeah, that's cool. About what would you think about this? So it's really just a collaborative effort overall,
right?
As far as the lyrics goes, but the music and the songs initially, yeah. I mean, I'm the writer of those.
I asked that because I'm always curious to know, like, when the lyrics come in. Everybody so far has said that lyrics come in last.
Yeah, that for us is the same thing too.
Okay.
So we're gonna kind of try to get the vibe of the song first, and then say, hey, listening to this, what does this make you feel like? What kind of vibe would you get from this?
Violence.
I mean, believe it or not, A Moment of Violence is really just a play on words, like a moment of silence, like you said in the very beginning.
It just rolls off your tongue.
Yeah. So and that's something that Scott came up with. originally. But, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, what we try to do when we're writing a song is we want to be melodic, but we want to be heavy. So we want to have parts where people can just, like, really get rowdy, too. But we also want to have parts where people are just like, wow, that's pretty beautiful at the same time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, we love heavy music, but, like, we want to remain marketable as well and get as many people listening as possible. And if you go just straight heavy, like, not everybody's into that. So we want something for everybody.
yeah.
Right. But also appealing to a niche crowd is sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's a balancing act.
100%. Yep. So, I mean, we try to remain as wide of a spectrum as we possibly can, you know? So, I mean, honestly, I'm a Puerto Rican man, so, I mean, I'll break in some of the Latino stuff every once in a while. I mean, I'm down for that. I'm down for whatever's really going to work and it really fits in the box well. And,
Right.
you know, if it's a cool idea, I don't care what genre it's from. I'll bring it in, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, right?
Where do you guys see the band going in the future? Like, what is the end goal?
Oh, well, the end goal is to the moon. I mean, we're gonna take this band to the moon 100%. We do got some stuff in the works right now. Nothing I can really announce, but we definitely have some stuff in the works right now that will take us to the next level for sure. We just really want to spread the word about the band as much as we possibly can, get inside of everybody's playlist, and, you know, just be out there as big as possible. But, you know, again, going back to it's a full-time job, it really is. I mean, you know, constantly posting, constantly be out on the internet, constantly being in the recording studio, constantly practicing my instrument, you know, practicing with the guys. So it is another full-time job, 100%, but it's so rewarding. Like, it's all for the purpose of, like, getting somebody to listen to the song. And when you get that, you know, that comment back, they're like, wow, dude, that's amazing. You're just like, wow, it makes you feel so good. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it's all about. We're going to the moon, 100%. Would you agree with that?
We're trying to.
We're going.
Scott said, I'm just doing my best. I'm here for the ride.
Honestly, if I could play the drums for a living, that's ideal. You know, right now, like we said, it's a full-time job, but it's not really paying. But the goal is to eventually make it pay, you know?
Yeah. And
For sure.
unfortunately for people who are more artistic and creative and whatnot, it's always a little bit harder to just get that livable wage and doing what you love.
Sure. For sure.
I'm jealous of people like my boyfriend that he's an accountant for a living and he loves it. I can't imagine how. Like, that man gets excited working on Excel worksheets.
Yeah. Everyone's got their thing, you know, that they're into. You know, this is what I've been blessed with, so I'm gonna work it as hard as I can and go as far as I possibly can. So.
Of course. And you're very lucky to have a good ear for it.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous of people who have good ears for those things because I have no musicality. So
Yeah.
it interests me to see how someone who does have good musicality, how their brains work and
Right.
function. Like, yes, I heard that. I heard it on the radio. My brother's one of those people that he can hear something on the radio and just imitate it.
And my ideas will come to me at the weirdest times. It's just like I could be in the shower and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I got to get out of the shower and go learn it and figure out how to play it or whatever, you know, but that's just my brain. That's the way it goes, you know.
Yeah.
The ideas come at the weirdest time and you just got to record them, write them down, do something with it, you know, real fast, you know, so.
No, and the best ideas are intrusive thoughts. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, hanging out on my couch, this is a great movie, and bam.
Yeah, all of a sudden you like something pops into your head. You're like, oh, wait a minute, let me pause the movie and go learn how to play it real fast, you know. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Scott, when you said that you started successful local shows in the area and whatnot, what were those like? Like, what was that time of your life like?
I mean, it was awesome. Like, it's just all my best friends. You know, there's a lot of good musicians in the town that I'm from. And we just kind of got like 4 to 5 bands on every show, had everybody from our high school, and it was just a big party. You know, we didn't have to worry about trashing somebody's house or anything like that. We paid to rent it out and stuff, but like people were pretty respectful, and we cleaned up afterward. We had a big team of people, so it was great.
Yeah.
That's something I generally see from this music scene, and I think it gets a very bad people outside of the scene have kind of a bad connotation of it, like,
Sure.
oh, okay, you know, heavy metal, it's violent, gonna get hurt, you know,
Right.
people aren't nice, and it's funny because you go to a heavy metal show and they're probably some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, for sure.
When you knock somebody down, you pick them up. You know.
Oh, hell yeah. No, that was, I was just talking to my mom about that this morning, that when we had a couple people die in like certain festivals and stuff, and I was like, that wasn't even rock. Those were like rap concerts
Yeah.
that people
Or
were getting
EDM.
trampled, or EDM, exactly. Everybody's
Yeah.
just so yeah, no, and then how many times I've seen somebody fall in a pit and everybody's like, no, catch them,
Sure.
like slow motion,
Yeah.
taking down and get them up.
Sure. There's definitely a stereotype that goes along with metal. I get it, 100%. I'll even say this, you know, being from Port St. Lucie, right? it's incredibly hard to find shows up there for our genre, just because it's a pretty big retirement community for sure, and again, it gets that stereotype of, oh, it's heavy metal, it's going to be, you're going to break all my stuff and and all this crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, like you said, I've met some of the nicest people at heavy metal shows and stuff like that, and listen, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So you can think metal's great, or you can think it's terrible, or whatnot, But at the end of the day, everybody's got a different perspective on something else, So.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really curious for you to announce at least something of the stuff that you said is going to take you to the moon. This will be out. I mean, it's not a lie to people. We record ahead of time. This will be out in like 3 weeks.
Okay. No, I mean, we're just in talks with certain companies about.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not something that you're like recording and it's like, I got a killer album coming.
You can definitely count on this 100%. I'll tell everybody this is that our plan is to really release a single every single 4 weeks, just to kind of keep everyone engaged and keep everybody going. But at one point, we will ultimately drop the entire EP with a bunch of new songs on it. Maybe it could be 10, it could be 9 songs or whatever. But we're going to definitely keep going every single month with a new single, just to keep everybody engaged, keep everybody going, and have something fresh for everybody, very, very often. So
right, consistency is the name of the game over here.
Yeah, because you could fall off for a month or two and not put anything out, and then it's like a moment to who? I never heard of these guys before, So
that's true, and especially finding shows up there being so tough, it's harder to,
Oh, we've been playing down this way a lot. This is really our. If we had to call like anywhere our show home, it's gonna be like Broward County, Palm Beach County for sure, and. Coming down this way from up by us. But Port St. Lucie, I mean, we were lucky if we played, 1 or 2 shows maybe in Port St. Lucie overall,
But you've exclusively played the 1 or 2 shows in Port St. Lucie.
Oh, well, I will say that Stewart, there's a place called Terra Firmata, which is typically like a tribute band. But, when I say tribute bands, they do like Carlos Santana tributes, things like that, and stuff that rock music doesn't really exist at that place. But somehow Scotty and I were able to talk the owner into letting A Moment of Violence pull a show off over there. So that was pretty cool.
You have to make one of those really scary flyers, and the other bands in the lineup have to have like those logos that you can't even read. That's just to really settle it in.
Yeah. We kind of had that at that show, right? What was that band that we played with?
That was awful, man. I forgot the name of it, but it was awful. Pretty sure they're the reason we're not allowed to go back there.
Oh, no, I need more details on this story.
So basically, this band was literally just 2 people. It was one really big dude with like a Mario mustache playing guitar, and they had backing tracks of drums, and then a girl who was dressed up like a clown that was the screamer. And the first song was called, can I curse on here?
Yes.
It's called Fuck Old People. And the song just goes, fuck old people. And like the crowd just saw it, and like immediately people started walking out. Like,
oh, no.
The cops came, actually.
Yeah, they did. Just to see what was going on,
Yeah, they thought there was some sort of fight going on or something.
They weren't used to that in this neighborhood, in downtown Stewart.
Right.
But then we went on after that, and we pulled off a great show, and everybody loved it. And the owner still to this day loves us, but maybe he's got a bad taste in his mouth because of that.
They also just want cover bands and stuff like that, or like a reggae, something like that. But
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about these experiences, individually, what has been your best concert experience at any level? It could be local or, huge headlining bands.
We were just talking about this too. What do you got? What's your favorite concert?
You guys were preparing on your way here.
I think it was it had to be Slipknot that we saw in West Palm.
That's what I was going to say.
They had
too.
Kill Switch Engage open for them. That was definitely the best show. Corey Taylor puts on a hell of a show. He commands the crowd, and he's the best in the business. So
I agree. I'll concur with that. That was probably the best show I've ever been to. That was at the amphitheater down here, and I mean Corey Taylor just knows how to work a crowd, and he pretty much can have those people doing whatever the hell he wants them to do, So,
right.
Yeah, in my opinion, that was probably one of the coolest shows. And at this point, I mean, I had the luxury of seeing Slipknot when they first came out back in the day. Again, showing my age a little bit, but now
you say showing your age, but I have no recollection of when Slipknot started. So for me, it's like, a million years ago.
It's over 20 years ago. Yeah, I went to the first Ozfest, just so you know. So back in the day when they first came out, they were a great band and a great live band. But now that they have the money to put on like the actual show and a live show, so it's incredible to see them now. You know, the show's amazing overall. So that's my favorite concert for sure, 100%.
Anything wild happen at it, or you know?
Nothing out of the ordinary other than people drinking a whole lot of beer and like moshing and stuff like that. But
yeah, my boss came with us and he pulled me into the mosh pit once he got drunk, so that was kind of fun.
Oh, that's great. No, last concert that I went to, that was I'm a huge pop punk fan, and I went to go see the Wonder Years at Revolution. I took my boyfriend with me, and he said,
Cool.
I'm gonna go in the pit. He walked out without a shoe in his glasses, like less than a minute later, and I was like, why don't you think about these things before you just jump in? But I didn't expect there to be such a big pit for the Wonder Years. I always thought, like, you know, it's pop punk. We're not going to really...
Pop punk gets pretty rowdy. It's like stage dives and high fives, right?
No, I didn't expect it to get that rowdy. But, yeah, he had to go get, like, new glasses immediately.
Yeah.
Poor thing. I was like, how are you going to drive home? You can't see from far away.
Right.
But, yeah.
No, that's cool. You know, I like the local shows though too. You know, I like going to play a show, you know, as a band and like getting completely blown away by the band that we're playing with and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I really thought Luxroom was great when we saw them live. They're a bunch of cool guys too, so I was chatting with them afterward and everything. But you know, it's always a nice treat when the bands that you're playing with are really good too. You know,
Right.
It's definitely good.
No, you can get blown away. Last night, actually, I just went to the Royal Hearts and Werewolves show with Saving Vice, and that was actually, you know.
I see them on Instagram a lot. I've never had the opportunity to go see them, but
I think that they are genuinely worth it. It
Yeah.
was such a fun show. They are incredibly talented. The lead singer in Royal Hearts, he has a stage presence, and of course, afterwards, I was like, damn, he got like the shoulder shimmies and everything down to the T. Like, very good at what he does.
Cool. Awesome. I'll have to check them out too.
Yeah. And Werewolves, again, great stage presence. Very, they even had I was like listening to the music afterwards and I was like, there's Linkin Park vibes in here with little like kind of more rap parts.
Right.
At least in one song. But yeah. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to promote. It's your shameless plug moment. Let everybody know what you need them to know.
Well, yeah, I mean, just really follow us on every platform. I mean, we're a Moment of Violence band on Instagram. We're a Moment of Violence on Facebook. A Moment of Violence band also on TikTok. What else we got?
I mean, there's my Instagram. It's just at Scotty Eric, SCOTTYERIK.
Yeah, my Instagram is at AMOV with a Z at the end, DEZ. We also have our website, which is www.amomentofviolence.net. And really just stay tuned for what we're going to do because we got some really, really cool things and big things in store for everybody. And we'll just keep continuing to try to outdo ourselves on every single song that we put out there. And I was going to say to you, we got to get you to a Moment of Violence show.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to come out to the one that they're promoting with Rune and Exigent, and I'll be there. Don't worry about that.
All right, cool.
But that's usually the end of the show, but now it's something caught my eye. You guys have a TikTok. Are we doing TikTok dances? Like, is this...
I don't touch any of the social media, honestly.
He's like, I've never been on TikTok in my life.
Especially when it comes to dances.
Yeah.
No, but... no, we're not doing any TikTok dances.
I'm just throwing ideas out there. Listen.
I will say that Alex is the one who mans the TikTok page. So if any TikTok dancing is going on, look for Alex Ocean. He's the one who's probably doing it. So.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming out.
We appreciate
and
you.
I hope to be out of the show soon, and I'll catch you guys next time.
All right. Very cool. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.